Hello, my name is Joseph Pirayo. I want to welcome you to today's program in the beginning, Ashur. As always, as I said, thank you very much for spending time with us, watching this program. You can follow Assyria TV on Rumble, X, or Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Also, we have AssyriaTV.com. There's almost 6,000 videos from different programs that have been done during these years. You can see those videos. Also, we're doing a live stream on Assyria TV and AGN TV. So, last week was a program about conflict of interest. Mainly, it was about our people demonstrating along with the rest of the Iranians regarding the situation that is happening in Iran right now. People demonstrating and government really going after them. From the information is out there, I don't know how reliable it is. Something like 70 to 80,000 people have been killed by the government. But what the program was about is that uh, the our people like supporting, and it's not all of our people. Those are the ones that born in Iran, and mostly those are that have left Iran, a short time ago. Not like me, I left over 47, 48 years ago when I was a teenager, and that was even before the revolution. But today's program is part two, and when I was preparing for the program, I received the messenger, and it kind of uh, how should I put it? Let me go to the comment that I received, and I'll share that with you, and I will connect it to this part of the what is that conflict of interest. Uh, the message starts, Joseph. I hope this message finds you well. Just have a quick question in regards to your show, and I am a little confused. Let's emphasize on the word confused. We are all confused, and there is a lot of confusion. But that specific thing that you're a little bit confused, I will talk about that. But there is so much confusion going on in our nation nowadays. So your show is in English, and I commend you for that. But I was wondering why you're not using the word Assyrian and using Ashuri, a Persian word. So, real quick, I've talked about this part that why this programming is English is language barrier. I speak the Eastern dialect, and when I started doing program on Assyria TV, we realized that uh, a big portion of our people that are watching this program, they speak the Western dialect. And the common sense was just to do the program in English, because nowadays more people all over the world seems like it's the second language, especially with the social media and all these things that are going on, and our people are scattered all around the world. You take it New Zealand, Australia, all the way through the Middle East, Europe, US, Canada. So English was the preferred method of communication with more of our people to understand, what this program is about and the information being shared about. So that's the reason that it's in English. Now, to the part that I'm not using the word Assyrian and I'm using the word Ashuri, which is a Persian word. I have talked about this before, but I will share that information again with you. Is that okay? I didn't know certain things. We're talking about maybe 20, 30 years ago. As you get involved with more activities regarding our nation, being part of the Assyrian Association of San Jose, being in Turlock Association, living in Los Angeles among our people. You learn, besides the dances and the music and the food, you learn about the history. And uh, actually, it was a long time ago that I found out when we were in Iran, was a picnic, and I was helping my friend, and this uh, non Ashur person. Let me just say that he asked my friend, "Are you Asuri?" And he said, "No, we are Ashuri." And that stayed with me. And as I said, 20, 30 years ago, as I was learning more about our culture, about our history, about who we are, and then some exposure or a lot of exposure to the Bible, I got to the point that based on the information I have, Ashur is our name. Not I didn't know, but the emphasis is on the identity, on the name, who we are. And these other names that, well, in English they call us Assyrian, but amongst ourselves we use the word author. And I had talked to some people that churchgoers, and I, talk about why are we using Ashur, and they say in the Bible it says author. And I say, well, in the Bible that you have right now, why would they say author? But when it comes for us to use the name of this king, let me show you. It's just let's see. I am Ashur Banipa, right? Nobody changed his name. Nobody's calling him Otter Banipat. I've talked about this before. Might be some repetition for some of you, but emphasizing instead of saying Assyrian, that's some non Ashur person. As I said, I'll try to not use the Persian, but I'll get to that part too. Why am I saying Ashuri? So Assyrian is another outside of our people naming us. And for some reason, we have accepted it. It's been spread. We never fought it. We never said anything about that since we have, I don't know, as far as politicians goes to emphasize our identity, or as far as the denomination churches go, forget about it. Through them, we have additional identities besides the Assyrian. We have the Chaldean and the Syriac or Aramaic or Babylonian and all these additional. Remember, you're confused. There's more confusion going on. This part that you're confused, my friend, is minimum. But before I go even further, I forgot to say thank you for your comment. I appreciate that you're communicating after watching the program. Say, okay, Joseph, what is it? Why are you talking about that name? And I really appreciate it. And the reason that I didn't answer you on the messenger and I said it on the program is that I'm sure there are a lot of people out there saying, "Oh, he said Ashuri again. What the hell?" Or he's not saying Assyrian. Why? What's the big deal? And it wasn't easy for me, or it's not easy for me. Well, it's easier now. See, as I said, I didn't know, right? So once you learn things about history, and the most important part for me was in this book, one of the different versions of Bible we have by George Lamsa and Ashuri or Ashur Nation person. See, now I'm confused. I can't say Ashuri anymore. I will, but we'll talk about that later. George Lamsa translation from the Aramaic of the Peshitta, right? And in this translation, when I have the English translation, when it comes to the name of God, says, I am who I am. And this is like, I am is the name of God. And that's how I grew up learning, listening to preachers, Anna even of either, But once you look in the Bible, that is Ashuri, translation in our language, says Ahiya Ashur Ahiya. And the older one that we what is that word we use? Sopraya. Sopraya language, Swadaya language, the language that we speak now, the Eastern dialect, at least from what I know, is called Swadaya. And the Sopraya, which is older than that, it said Ahia Ashur Chaya. And this is where George Lamsa uses that word and translated the word Ashur. He says Asher. There is another Hebrew translation that says Ashar. Neither one says Ashur. And that's what I've been told. It doesn't say Ashur, it says Ashur, Ashar. Hold on. What was written in the book of what is that? Exodus, because that's Exodus chapter 3, verse 14. This is where God talks to Moses, and Moses is supposed to go to Egypt to free the 12 tribes from bondage, from slavery, and bring him to the promised land. And while they're talking about the subject, Moses turns to God and says, "Who shall I tell our people that send me?" And according to the translation from George Lamsa, says Ahia Asher Chaya. And he translates it to I am the living God. So you're going to go tell him, Moses, that the living God has sent you. And I didn't know. As I said, once I found out, I said, wait a minute, this changes the whole story regarding I am who I am. And somebody, I was talking to my sister and I was talking about that. Some Hebrew guy sent her a text that says, no, the part that is Asherian, Ashar, means who? I said, in what language? See, the Swadaya that we speak, either being the Eastern dialect or the Western dialect that we speak today, is different. Book of Exodus was written by Moses, and Moses was 3,400 years ago when he wrote that, right? 3,400 years ago, on our ancestors, when they spoke our language, right? How similar is to the one that we're speaking right now? I'm not a language expert, but I've seen Bibles from the English like 700, 800 years ago that they were like what they call it, they were quoting from them, and I'm reading it. It's English, but I have no idea what they're saying. It's like Gaelic English or Irish or something. So when we're talking about language, about Ashur, one thing is that you use your brain as to the context. I'm going back to why I'm using Ashur instead of, my apologies for these texts, that noises that are coming, but blame it on my wife. These are for her coming. And I tried to stop him. It's not stopping. So it's her fault. Anyway, so why Ashur instead of Assyrian? Or why are we saying Otter? Right, my friend? English, okay, English, we want to communicate so people understand. But before we go there, Otter, this is some time ago. This is like 15 years ago that when I was at A and B, maybe less, like 11 years ago. When I was at A and B, we had this program and I was interviewing this guy that is a Christian, and we were talking in the Eastern dialect, and I said Ashur, and he said, no, Otter. It's like, I'm using our name. Why are you getting? And that's when it's in the Bible, right? I don't want to go too far in this because I need to talk about the subject, that the conflict of interest. But before going there, we want to establish a foundation. Why we say what we say, why we do what we do, right? Our people in Turlock, San Jose, taking our Ashur flags and go support Iran. One thing, Iran, if the government changes or doesn't change, we are not getting anything for us. They're not going to give Urmi to us. Sorry, my friends. I know there is so much going on over there, all these poor people dying and getting killed by the government. Now, if the government is this and that, I don't know. There is a lot of sadness, there is a lot of blood. And they're raiding maybe US attacks or this and that. But our people, priority, confusion, our name. How many names do we have? As I said, Assyrian, Aturaya, Aturian, Ashur, Ashuri, Ashuraya, Ashureta. I look at Ashur Banipal, that hasn't changed. Nobody calling him As Banipal or Atur Banipal, right? There's no confusion there. So in the part, I hope I explained why I'm saying Ashur instead of Assyrian, because that is our name. The name that we have, when you read the Exodus 3:14, says Ashur, creator, God. I've learned that we are the preservers of that name. And it's not just because of that verse. Then you go to Isaiah chapter 19, the last three verses. The day of the Lord. There are three nations mentioned, only three that will be bring blessings to the world. That's what it says. Ashur, Israel, Egypt. And God says, blessed be Egypt, blessed be Ashur, blessed be Israel, because they're going to bring blessing to the world. These three nations. It's not my imagination or my conclusion. I'm just reading. Same way we read about Jesus Christ, our Savior, our Lord, crucified, resurrected, in this book, right? Being George Lamsa's translation, I have this Bible. It says the word 26, the Bible from 26 translations. Then you have this other one, New International Version, that people use, right? In all these books we hear about, I mean, for those of you, my brothers and sisters, that you are Christian regardless of denomination, you believe in that, right? We have a Christmas celebration, we have Easter celebration, we have Ba'ut Nineveh celebration, rogation of the Ninevites, all these other traditions that we have in these traditional churches, Assyrian Church of the East, Chaldean Church, Syriac Orthodox, all these traditions, they all say we are from the Bible, Jesus Christ, Bible. Okay, this is Bible, and these are in Bible too. Ahia Ashur Chaya. I am the living beginning, God. Blessed be Ashur, the work of my hands. It's not just imagination or just changing things. You know, it is there. If we are doing the same thing about Jesus Christ, about Paul, the ministry, the mission, all these things, Jesus, when you look at his genealogy, it goes back to Abraham and Adam and all of these related to the Old Testament. They are connected. You cannot pick and choose. Okay, I'm going to pick this one. You know, like some of these denominations say you have to be baptized by water only. Some say you have to be baptized and be speaking in spirits only. Some say we have to go under Peter because he was the head of the church and this and that. 350,000 different denominations. Remember? Confusing, right? So I hope I got to the why the name Ashur. Now, Ashuri in Farsi and Arabic speaking countries. I found out in Iran they call us Ashuri, ya Ashurian. In Arabic, we are Al Ashuri, Al Ashuriyin. These countries, they say our name correctly. They don't call us Aturaye. They're not calling us Asuraye, Asuriye, or Assyrian. When they write in their language, our true name is used. Ashuri, Ashurin. Now, why am I saying Ashuri? If you have a suggestion, see, the word Ashur is not going anywhere, not in this program. In the beginning, Ashur, Shuraya Ashur, identity, preservation of this name, I believe is the most important thing before we go and try to get our land back. Because if we don't exist as a nation that has one identity, that will never happen. If you have a suggestion, there was this Jewish guy suggested to me use Ashurit. Whatever it is, I take suggestions, but we use one name. The reason I'm saying Ashuri because Ashuraya, Ashureta, Ashuraya, we have genders. English, no gender. Farsi, from what I know, no gender. Or Arabic. Ashuri, done. If you don't like it because I'm Persian, I'm sorry. I'm not doing it because I was born in Iran. You know, it's just most common sense. That said, going to now how I'm connecting this to the conflict of interest is that the confusion part has spread towards what is like priority. Like where is this book here? I have a book by what's his name? Ephraim. What's his name? Ephraim Yaqub, The Path to Assyria. How many of you have read this book? How many of you have read anything recently to add to your knowledge? How many of you are watching Turkish movies, spending your time 200 episodes, 300 episodes? I'm not judging, but the thing is, the information being shared, if your information that you're gathering is about other subjects, it's like getting confusing. Like, what is he talking about? He's talking about against the Christianity. No, I'm not talking about Christianity again. Actually, it's for Christianity. So there's a part here in the Path to Assyria that Ephraim Yaakov has written. He's quoting another gentleman, Gorik from Carboran. I hope I'm saying the name right because uh, it was published 2015, but this was written much earlier, like 100 years ago. And he's talking about our priority. Let me just read this. It says, while we hesitate, everything works against us. Time, those in power, neighbors. Every minute that passes by snatches one of our hopes and more than one opportunity. Will we just have been heroes for a foreign cause? This got me. Heroes for a foreign cause, demonstrating for Iran, demonstrating for the poor people as far as what is happening to them. I understand, and I have compassion for that, and I see videos that I can't see anymore, the way that they're being shot, this and that. But what I'm talking about is that the zeal, the way that it's done for others, that we're not getting any. As I said, if the government changes or not, Iran is going to be Iran. They're not going to give us urmi. Will we just have been heroes for a foreign cause? Not for ourselves, for the sake of Assyria? No initiative, no energy? Should the Oriental liturgy take its toll? Will all of our sacrifices and those of our children's noblest and purest blood have been in vain? Once again, let us just rely on ourselves for our deliverance and that of Assyria. It's beautiful words. How do we do it? Relying. One thing is that the reason we have this program is that I couldn't do this 15, 20 years ago because I didn't know certain things. As you learn, okay, you check. Now I know. Opportunity came, AMB, Assyrian National Broadcasting, talked to the owner, said, come here, what do you have to talk about? I said, this is the subject. I said, go ahead. As long as you don't talk nonsense. Had a program for 10 years, then they closed down. Now I'm with Assyria TV, talking about the stuff that I have learned. And I'm still learning. You learn until you die. There is a saying in Farsi, "Nigahwari ta gur danish bejur," from cradle to grave, seek knowledge. We have become a little bit lazy, don't you think? I mean, the people that we are the cradle of civilization. How many of us would, like, if our Ashur Banipal, Shamiran would come here, look at us as, you are our descendants, wasting your time. Another thing that the time is being wasted. It's not just I'm not judging our people going for Iran, but I see on Facebook fights between our people who are supporting Israel or supporting Palestinians. What are they going to do for us? Or in the United States, I have my friends from both sides. I'm Democrat. Trump bleep. No, I'm Republican. Biden bleep. Did it matter? 4 years Biden was president. You fight, 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 fight. Then what happened? Nothing. Now it's Trump president. Fight, fight, fight. What are we doing for us? For us, in order to do something for us, you have to, I don't know, to learn it. That first love, that, like when I read Ahia Ashur Chaya, blessed be Ashur, the work of my hands. I said, There is a reason we are still here. No true leadership, no political power anywhere outside of homeland, inside of homeland. Clergy missing even more our identity. Talk about confusion. Not giving up. Not giving up. I didn't mean to judge you for watching those Turkish movies, but when it comes to our nation, to our people, to the suffering that is still going on, we have less and less people in our homeland that they're kicking them out. The stuff that is happening, I don't know how much is going on in Iran regarding our people, but I know in our homeland, North Iraq, in Syria, in Turkey, why aren't we doing demonstrations for them, our people? Gana Kagana. First love. Remember your first love. In order for me to understand my first love is who I am. Who are you? What are you fighting for? What are you living for? And mine has happened by gaining knowledge. I'm no better than anybody else. I read, I know, I have no choice. In Bible, you read that if you didn't know, I'm not going to blame you. But now that you know, what are you going to do about it? Because I will blame you now that you know. I don't want to be blamed. All right? Because this life is temporary. So until the time comes to meet the Creator, Lord, whatever my judgment would be, it's in their hands. But until then, Ahiya Ashur Chaya. Blessed be Ashur, the work of my hands. Before we finish, if you have another word for me to use instead of Ashuri, let me know. I would love to. Ashur will stay. Either it's going to be Ashuri, Ashurid, Ashurai, Ashuri, any version. But Ashur is my identity. As I said, Chaya, blessed be Ashur, the work of my hands. Chaya Ashur, Mabqira. I'll see you next program. Thank you and good.
شيخاني